Thank you for being here. I'd like to thank you for hosting us here as well,
Sure.
and joining us at this event. I hope you found the training useful or educational, or let's say, the opportunity to mingle with the rest of the people here and like-minded people, professionals as you are in the field of security and web application security scanning, and not only that. So could you introduce yourself, your name, your position in the firm you work for, and of course tell us a bit about your company and what your product or service is, customer profiles, and something special about what you do.
Sure. My name is Mark Murdock. I'm a partner at Lantern Security. We're a professional security services firm in St. Louis, Missouri. We focus mainly on security testing services and digital investigations, such as forensics. Our clientele are a range of companies, mostly located in the St. Louis area, manufacturing, financial industries, nonprofits, medical companies. So we've got quite a range of customers, but most of our services are around security testing and investigation services.
Excellent, Mark. When did you start using Acunetix Web Vulnerability Scanner?
About 5 years ago, we started using Acunetix version 6.
So you would consider yourself an Acunetix veteran now?
Yes, we've used it. We've used it quite a bit.
And what was the reason you picked Acunetix up as a tool in your bag of tricks?
Well, at the time, web application vulnerability started to become a much bigger deal for companies. It got a lot of recognition. The security conferences started to uncover a lot of problems in the web application space, and we found that a lot of the tools that were out there were open source tools. They were difficult getting reports out of them. They weren't very reliable. They would be unmaintained. And we decided that we needed a tool that was a commercial tool that covered the full range of features and that was also within our cost range.
So how did this challenge of having to use open source tools impact your business and your department, your security department?
Right. So
before you adopted Acunetix, if you could be a bit specific about that.
Sure. So if you're using open source tools, although open source tools are a great thing for security testers, and we still use them. However, the problem is if you're doing security tests, they take more time. In a lot of cases, they're not as easy to use. They also can fall out of maintenance, so a tool might go months, even years without having been maintained. So if you invest a lot of time or energy into these tools, you might find that you're learning something that is no longer useful, unfortunately. And they also take a lot of time to use. So we needed something that was a little more efficient with our time so that we could get a tool that would do the right thing, and we could go on to the manual efforts that were involved in penetration testing, which really is what our time needed to be.
Okay, that's great. Did you find the strategies that were expounded on by Mark in this presentation, this training workshop today, useful with regards to becoming more efficient in the use of Acunetix?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Acunetix is a very configurable tool. There's a lot of ways to use it. It's always interesting to hear people's perspectives on ways to make it better, faster, safer, and those are the things that help us do a better job.
Now, one question came to mind when you were talking about your decision to acquire Acunetix. You must have tried other solutions before you chose Acunetix, so you may also be using those tools in parallel with Acunetix, of course, being a pen tester.
Yeah.
But did you actually choose Acunetix over some other solutions? And
yeah.
If yes, which?
We looked at some webinars and some manuals for AppScan and WebInspect. We looked at those tools. Ultimately, decided that Acunetix was going to be the product of our choice. Acunetix had all of the features and configurability that we needed, and it fell within the price range, and that was one of the more important pieces about our choice of the product.
Well, we do get comments sometimes that we're a bit too cheap. We should raise our prices. I've had it before. I was wondering how you would or others would react to that. But effectively, so you mentioned price, but also feature set, more important. So cost versus benefit as being the reason why I chose Acunetix over these competing products.
Right, Acunetix has a very high value to cost ratio.
Now, what do you find most beneficial about Acunetix? How effective is Acunetix at delivering the results you require from the scans? Describe a day in the life of Mark Murdock.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, a couple areas where Acunetix is really beneficial for us is its configurability. We need an application scanner that can be careful, can allow us to do authenticated scanning, can allow us to be safe about our scanning and not cause problems in applications, while at the same time is thorough. And we also need a scanner that is up to date. So it's very important that the most recent and latest vulnerabilities in web applications and in web technologies are able to be, recognized by the tool. Things like HTML5, that's a very important thing. We need something that we feel is staying on the leading edge of vulnerabilities. We don't want a tool that lags behind in any way because in our line of work, that's often the space that gives us the advantage. So that's a couple of beneficial areas.
How you've probably engaged in several pen testing projects at customers or several audits. And I was wondering, do your customers ever ask you what tools you're using? Do you ever recommend Acunetix to your customers? And if so, why?
Yeah.
And don't you feel that maybe you might be shooting yourself in the foot that way? Or alternatively, do you see that as an opportunity to leverage more value-added services as a security consultant?
We routinely recommend Acunetix to customers. The reason that we do that is because we're trying to improve the security of the client. Us coming in and doing a human analysis of their security controls and attempting to get into their systems will always have value regardless of what tools they have in-house and they're using. What we want them to do is get to a good security posture so that it's difficult for us. What we don't want them to do is go all year long without doing any kind of security testing or analysis internally, then have us show up and find holes all over the place, right? So what we usually recommend is to these clients is that once our engagement is done, we explain this is how we found these things. You can purchase tools that help you find these things. You can address them as they come up, as applications are released. That way, when we come in, we don't have a long list of red issues. We can focus on only the most important things, and you've cleaned up, 80 or 90% of your issues. It overall improves their security to follow that practice. That's why we recommend it. It doesn't hurt us in any way. We're still an important part of that process.
Plus, you'd also be provided on the training and guidance on the usage of the tool in a structured manner. And
if they need that, yeah, if they need that, sure.
Okay. Is there any situation where you're being asked for compliance reports, HIPAA reports, Sarbanes-Oxley? How has Acunetix assisted you with these responsibilities, these tasks as assigned to you by customers? Has that been a major driver for compliance, for IT audits in general? What would you say about that?
In our line of work, the compliance requirements have not been a major influence, aside from the fact that a lot of the compliance requirements are what gets us the opportunity to do the work. In other words, they may require an annual security test, penetration test. In that regard, yes, compliance does affect us in the way that we do business. The thing about Acunetix is it's good that it does have reporting capabilities and scanning capabilities that do have compliancy, built in. So for customers who are doing that kind of thing, we can at least let them know that the product supports reports that fall into compliance guidelines.
Okay, thank you very much, Mark. Is there anything else you'd like to add about your experience with Acunetix?
No, I think that's good.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mark.
All right.
That's great.